Good morning. Welcome to our critical conversations with all our community stakeholders this morning that's being hosted by our new superintendent of schools, Dr. Morcease J. Beasley. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize any dignitaries that may be present today. I do understand that we may have a limited audience, but we have 3 opportunities today to hear from the superintendent as he roll out his plans and priorities for the new school year. So first, I'd like to recognize one of our school board members, Miss Judy Johnson, if you would stand. And we have Miss Jessie Goree, who has arrived, another school board member. I don't believe I've seen any others, but do we have any elected officials present? If so, please stand to be recognized as well. Any members from our faith-based community? Please stand. Okay. Well, we'd like to thank the few that are here today. This is an important time for us to share and exchange information and collaborate more effectively with our community stakeholders, so we certainly appreciate you. And without further ado, I will turn things over so Dr. Beasley can present to you his plans and priorities for the new school year. Dr. Morcease J. Beasley.
Thank you, Jada. I don't need this.
Oh, you sure don't.
But I'm glad you're here today. We didn't want to start the year without having some conversations with parents who would be willing to come. We'll have other critical conversations scheduled throughout the first semester, of course, but I thought it important to, as we are identifying action steps, areas of focus, I thought it would be very important before we even start the year to at least give parents an opportunity to weigh in, hear what they have to say, what's working, what's not working, ideas, suggestions, etc. And of course, give me an opportunity to share things that are important to me relative to moving the district forward and producing higher levels of performance for our students. I appreciate, of course, we've recognized the board members and appreciate their vote of confidence in my selection as the superintendent of Clayton County Public Schools. I'm honored to serve our children. I think that our children are our hope and our future, and as adults, it's incumbent upon us to do the very best that we can do by them and for them, because honestly, we're going to leave it in their hands, aren't we? And so my intention and my focus will be to ensure that our students, when they walk through our school doors on August 7th, that they, even those who have already started at Elite Scholars, they started on August 17th, that they have the best educational experience that they can have, that they end the year in a better position than they started the year, and that they're closer to being college and career ready every year. Oftentimes you hear people say you want every kid to go to college, and my philosophy is we want to ensure that whether they go or they choose not to go, that they have the opportunity to go, that they have the right skills, the right requirements, that if it's afforded to them, they should be able to walk through that door. If the opportunity arises, they should be able to walk through that door, and their educational process should not be a hindrance, but a support in them taking advantage of that opportunity. So our goal is to ensure that our students are performing at higher levels. You'll see throughout this year the theme, if you will, if you like to call it that. It's really my vision, just committed to high performance. I want our district to be the highest performing district in this state, and I want it to be competitive. There are many implications relative to that. One being the growth of this community. You all know that people decide on what communities they live in based upon the quality of the schools. Would you agree with that? And when people are moving into a community, housing values increase, don't they? And when housing values increase, that means family income does what? Increase. And it helps, it positions families to make some better and different choices, doesn't it? And so it's all related. So it gives kids opportunities to pursue post-secondary options, which the data tells us that the more education you have, the more likely, the higher your income you'll be able to make. The more educated our community is, the more attractive it becomes, the higher property values, opportunities, etc. It all matters. And so I think it's the work of the school system to ensure that we produce higher levels of performance. It's time to ensure that when people think about high-performing school districts, Clayton becomes one of those school districts they think about, period. And to that end, what we've got to do is, and you'll see decisions being made to improve the culture and climate of our district. I really believe in approaching things systemically, which means that when we make decisions, we think about the impact systemically. How does it impact our students? How does it impact our community? How does it impact the organization, etc.? Is it a good decision? Is it the best decision? What are the ramifications to that decision, etc.? And is it a collaborative decision? You'll see that you'll have many opportunities, such as today, to get engaged. We'll be implementing parent advisories, student advisories, teacher advisories, community leaders advisories, business leaders advisories. We want our community to get engaged. We have, according to our released org chart, we've created a department division for family and engagement, governmental relations, and partnerships, because we want to ensure that our families are engaged, that we provide opportunities for our parents to learn things that they may need to know to support our children, provide our partners, if you will, an opportunity to support our schools. And we want to do that in a very organized, helpful manner to our schools. So that department, we are in the process of trying to identify the best person to lead that department. And then once we get them on board, they will bring in, I'm sure, additional support based upon what we've placed on the org chart and the board has supported. I want all of you to know that this is, again, the first of many opportunities. Hopefully you have seen the schedule of opportunities that we have released that takes us through first semester, and I will need your help to get the word out. As you know, everybody doesn't go to the website. So we're working with our communications department. We're trying to use Infinite Campus, and if you would put this as a to-do, we're using Infinite Campus, where we know parents should be going to check grades, right? We're posting all the district-wide announcements in there. So when they log in, all they got to do is take a minute or two to look at the district-wide announcements. We will be using the calling posts very sparingly because of the law, but there will be some opportunities even to use the calling posts as well. But we just need parents to help us recruit and bring in and inform other parents. We want our parents, and we know many families are very busy, they're working, and that's why you'll see numerous opportunities. And even this meeting is being live streamed, because if they're not here, I want them to at least, most people now are getting these iPhones, aren't they? I want them to at least pull up their iPhone, participate, email a question or two, etc. But be engaged, be a part of the work, because while I have a passion and I know that we're going to improve, I can't do that by myself. It takes an entire community. It takes a community. We've got 54,000 children, and all of those children are impacted by several adults in their lives, aren't they? And so that's why it's important for us as adults to come together, get on the same page, agree, come to some type of consensus about what's good for our children, and let's make it happen for our children. Let's make it happen for our children. So what can you expect to see within the first, second, third year? You should be able to go to the website and see our 90-day plan, and you'll see that the 90-day plan is basically an opportunity for us to get this engagement going in our community. So please go to the website, download, and take a look at the 90-day plan. We'll be providing updates relative to that 90-day plan as we move along periodically, hopefully weekly, etc. You will see eventually a document that allows you to see some 3-year actions that I think are very important relative to all the various divisions and departments that we have. I'm framing that up. I have it already developed. We've shared a draft of it with the principals for their feedback, but probably within a day or two, you'll see that document on the website as well. That document will be a living document because as I go through these sessions, I'm sure I may get some other things that will add to it. But I want you to take a look at it and feel free. There's a link out there for you to send email feedback. Send the feedback to us. And I read all the emails that I get, and I reply to all of my emails that I get. And it may keep me up late at night, but that's just something that I've been doing for years, and I think it's important. People take out time to email you, the least you can do is reply. The least you can do is reply. And so please send feedback. Bring your feedback. Even for this session, there's a link out there for feedback. For those who are here, you can always follow up with sending your feedback using the link. And those who are not here, if they're not here, that doesn't mean that I don't want to hear from them. They can also share their feedback. Of course, I am writing down, and you'll see me as we talk and as you share. I'll be writing things in my notes on my phone because I'm making notes. So when I go back and start going through all the feedback and notes, I can organize my thinking and figure out, okay, where does that need to go? What do we need to do in this area, etc. Because the goal is to improve. The goal is to improve. And I want you to see fundamental improvements in our district. You know, I don't want to, and you'll see I'm not one to just talk about how great it is. I like the work to speak for itself. Let the data speak for itself. Of course, we're going to work with our communications and marketing and public relations department to ensure we have a positive image out there. But it won't be inconsistent. The data and the image are not going to be inconsistent. We're going to let the data speak for itself, and therefore our actions are going to be critical to ensuring that our data is improving. Our data is improving. This community deserves a high-performing school district, and it expects its students, its children to be successful, and we're going to work to that end. You'll have many opportunities this year to get engaged. You should know, make a note of this, that this is our year to be reaccredited by SACS, Advanced Ed. So you'll see a timeline be presented to the board in our July board meeting. And you'll see a timeline posted once that information is presented to the board. You'll see community engagement sessions relative to the development of that strategic plan. We need everyone involved. It should not be the case that we're developing a strategic plan for our community and 1 or 2 people are there. That should not be the case. And while I can't knock on everybody's door and drag them here, I would expect any community that values its children should show up when decisions are being made about its children. Would y'all agree with that? Yes, but we've got to do our part and get the word out there, don't we? And so you'll see that a major emphasis on getting the word communicated and getting those opportunities communicated rather consistently. We don't want anyone to say they didn't know or they didn't hear. We've got the website, we've got the app, we've got the Infinite Campus, we're doing media releases, we've got PDS 24. If necessary, we can use some of the local newspapers, we can try to engage some of the radio stations. We're trying to get the word out there. But when people hear, they've got to make a decision to be a part and be engaged. And so I'm counting on you all to help us motivate our parents and others to say, get involved, get engaged. And even if they can't come, you'll see that we'll constantly have links so they can share. You know, there may be a meeting that they can't make it because of a family event. Life happens to all of us. But follow up by sending your feedback using the link, the email, the comment email that's on the website. Just, hey, I can't be there, but here are my thoughts. Appreciate the opportunity to share. And so if you all would help us in that regard. Well, I want to hear from you as a community. I'm sure we've got parents, and yesterday we did 2 sessions with the teachers, and they were very, very clear as to areas that were of concern to them. And I just want to take a second to share with you, just so you all will have some perspective as to areas that the teachers shared were important to them. Of course, special ed education came up relative to many special ed vacancies. And then when you have special ed vacancies, those students who are assigned to those teachers, their caseloads, their IEPs, they still have to be written by law, don't they? And then that work kind of goes to the teachers that we do have, so they feel overburdened with the additional work. So we're working on that, and I'll share some things that we're doing in that regard. Discipline consistently came up. Our teachers need our students to come to school behaving the way they need to so they can teach at higher levels. And so I'll be very clear with parents. We all have our various discipline philosophies. I have mine. I've raised 4 or raising 4. But the bottom line is this: as I tell my own children, I expect you to go to school and behave so the teacher can do their job. And that's teach. That's teach, teach, teach. If I could teach you the chemistry, then I probably would, but I can't. While I've had chemistry, I am in no position to teach it. And so I need you to go to that chemistry teacher, pay attention, and do whatever you got to do to learn the content that teacher has. And you all know, when you've got one adult in a room with 20, 25, 30 kids, they just need to behave. Because, 30 folk, you need 30 folk to do what they need to do so you can keep the lesson going in the right direction. Does that make sense? And so we need our parents. We need our parents. And I know we're all at different levels relative and of information and belief and philosophies about raising our children. But I think we need to all get on the same page that when our children come to school, they need to do what? They need to behave. So these teachers can do what we expect them to do. Because where are we trying to get our children to? We're trying to get them to increase levels of opportunities. And you all know, in this society, in this world we live in, one's level of education makes a big difference in the number of opportunities that one is afforded. And we want to keep our children out the penal system. We want to keep our children out all these barriers to opportunities. And so you'll hear, as we engage with parents, we'll be sharing some things that we want parents to do. I've already discussed with principals that I expect kids to receive homework at least Monday through Thursday. Last year we dealt with quite a few student deaths. Kids out, after school on the street doing whatever they need to do. They can be at home doing some homework. So I want to see kids at home doing homework. They can hang out over the weekend if they need to do that. But during the week, let's get these kids in the house and let's get them doing homework. And so I'll just be honest with you all. I'm kind of using at this level the philosophy that I had with my own children. They didn't watch TV during the week. I expected them to do homework. I expected them to read. I expect them to do what they needed to do. So it's time for us as a community, as a village, to come together and say, we expect our kids to be doing homework. Reading something, solving some math problems, doing some science and some social studies, right? Writing an essay or something. And that's going to impact even the quality of life in the community. Because when the whole community is expecting our kids to be doing homework even after school, then we can help each other, can't we? You see neighbor John, the neighbor's child. Why are you not at home doing homework? We gotta be helpers one to another. And so you'll see an emphasis on ensuring that homework is an extension of what happens in the classroom during the day. We want our kids engaged. And as I share with the principals, you can't read math and learn how to do it. While you can read it, and that may help you, you actually learn how to do it when you start solving the what? The problems. And so we want our families and our students to create some spaces at home that are dedicated solely to learning, reading, after school. And I know we have a tiered arrival and dismissal process, but we want our kids, and I'm going to be clear, from a certain time of the day, Monday through Thursday, I want kids at home doing homework. If they're in daycares, doing some homework. If they're with aunties and Nana and them, doing what? Doing homework. And what I like to do is ensure that level of expectation is communicated to all, supported by all, so everyone can benefit from the success of students doing well in school. Another area of concern that the teachers mentioned, They mentioned class size, but I wanted to be clear. Some of them were not aware that the board in the budget this year voted to reduce class size at the K-5 level. And so you'll see some smaller classes at the K-5 level. They wanted to go even smaller, but as I've shared with them and I'll share with you all, when you lower the teacher-student ratio, that means you increase the number of teachers. Well, when you have, like we did last year, when you have so many vacancies, you don't just want to increase the number of teachers because all you're going to do is increase the number of what? Vacancies if you can't fill those positions. So it's a balance that we're trying to address. And so we're working diligently. Our HR department is working diligently to find the best candidates to fill these vacancies that we do have. I think we're in a better position than we were last year, but we're going to continue to work very hard. Another area that came up was just related to counseling relative to students in their academic matriculation, foreign language requirement, SAT preparation, etc., and test preparation. So those are things that we'll be working with our counseling department and our principals to address. And honestly, I was very pleased. Of course, instruction came up, so we were able to talk about bounded autonomy that our teachers do have. They've got to teach the standards, but I expect to see highly engaging instructional strategies. I expect to see effective instruction in every classroom, and there are various components of effective instruction that we would expect to see in every classroom. We expect to see formative assessments in use, and so, and all of this, clearly our principals have had these conversations. We've addressed this with our principals, and everyone is on the same page relative to what's going to happen in our classrooms as we start the new year. And so I've shared their concerns, so I'm going to pause here and give you an opportunity to share as community, parents, and others. You may be employees. Give you an opportunity to share any challenges, any areas that you think we're doing well, or any ideas or feedback that you like to provide. So Jada, we've got a small group here, so let's just give them a chance and have a conversation.
And if you have any questions, just raise your hand, and I and a member of my team will come to you so you can pose your question.
And while we're doing that, we want to recognize Ms. Goree. We see she's joined us. Thank you, Ms. Goree, for being here. Okay, did I say? I don't remember me saying anything.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Beasley.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for having this
You're
session.
welcome.
I'm Lisa Smith. I'm here on behalf of Georgia Power and
good.
also the Clayton County Chamber Board.
Very good.
And I know we have some plans to do some things this year, like principal partners, but we really want to be partners with the school system. So I want to just hear from you any ideas, generally speaking, how we may be able to engage as you develop your strategic plan.
Well, you know, Georgia Power is very important to us. And so one thing, and I'll put this out there, I don't see enough of our children being linemen.
Okay.
And I know sometimes our kids are afraid of electricity, but we got to get them, those are six-digit salary jobs. And so, like, we've got a Firefighters Academy. We're starting at Drew High School and Mondays Mill High School, areas that they normally don't go in. I've got aviation. We're starting at North Clayton High School and Morrow High School. We're working toward. I want to see, I don't know what you call it. What word do you all use for that profession?
Lineman.
Linemen. I want to see our children, when I drive down the street and see these folk working on our power lines, I want to see folk that look like my children. And so I think that's an area that we can use Georgia Power. I need our kids getting comfortable with electricity, understanding how it works, and understanding how they do the work on these, you know, when a tree knocks over a line, how do you fix it? I often wonder myself what the grid looks like. You know, where are all these power lines, where are they going? So I want to see more of our kids in those roles. And so I think there's an opportunity there. I think it would be very important. Again, we'll be working on expanding our partnership office, but I want to see some more formal partnerships that benefit our students in the school. So more to come, Ms. Smith, in that area, okay? But I do think that we need to work on, we've got a career technology department. I do think it would be most appropriate to figure out how do we get more of our kids interested in those jobs that are available through Georgia Power in other places. Is that fair enough?
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming to you. One
I'd
second.
like to answer Ms. Smith's question too on that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll stand up. I would love for Georgia Power and any of the other members of the chamber to see if they could consider offering maybe some internships for some of our students in the high schools. You know, last year I actually reached out to you to, I believe it was North Clayton Middle School, they have a robotics team. Rex Mill is a STEM school, and they would really like some involvement from Georgia Power, but you know, it kind of got blocked last year, but Dr. Beasley's a different type of guy, so any help that you could give us would be greatly appreciated.
And
So-
you know, and I'll throw this out there, you know, we have many schools that are doing the robotics teams. That, you know, that's a high skill set as well. Supporting our schools for those robotic teams. They go to annual competitions, you know, within the district, regional competitions and state competitions, and then they do well, they can make it to the national competitions. And I know students can get some healthy scholarships when they matriculate up in those competitions. And so support to get more of our teams from our various schools participating, even securing the resources, because oftentimes they have to get the resources from the robotic organizations, and then they have to do what they do, build their own robots to compete in these competitions. But support, because that's a STEM area as well. So I won't add anything else to your list. I think we've given you enough. But thank you for asking. Okay.
Do you have a question back here? Get my steps in.
Research has shown that children do better when they have recess in our elementary schools, and I'd like to know if we will have mandatory recess for our children in elementary schools.
That's a great question. It came up yesterday. I had it on my list, but I didn't necessarily mention it earlier. When you say mandatory recess, always remember there are implications for mandatory recess. There are financial implications, staffing implications, supervision implications, and money implications. If you want to do mandatory recess, we've got to increase the school day, which means we've got to increase teachers' salary and what they get paid. Right now, schools in our policy, we have language that allows them and supports them to do recess, but many schools look at their schedule and they build it in different ways. They have that flexibility today. Right now, I don't know if mandatory is the way we want to go when you think about all the other implications. We're trying to ensure that we're in a strengthened fiscal position. We're trying to ensure that we really ensure that we're improving academic performance. We see the value in recess, and we agreed with the teachers yesterday that we want our kids active and moving, and you know, they need that play time. But I want to encourage us. I'll just be very honest with you, because I'm an honest person. There's nothing as a parent that stops our children from playing in a little while when they get home. Everything doesn't have to happen at the schoolhouse. And so we as a community, we've got to really balance that. Free play happens, and honestly, our kids are playing a whole lot right now. I need them studying a little bit more. But we value the recess. We know that they need that free time to play and be children, etc. But right now, it looks differently in different schools based upon the resources that they currently have. Mandatory, I'd have to study that a little bit more, because I know about the implications, fiscal implications, HR implications, supervision implications, etc., relative to that. And we're already challenged in the building of our master schedules with trying to give kids math, science, English, reading, language, arts, music, art, STEM. You know, if I can go on and on. We're trying to give them all of this within, I want to say, 300 minutes. In lunch, in breakfast, in tutoring. So, you know, at some point, you just can't keep adding to the 300 minutes, because something's going to go without. And so in PE, they're already getting PE. It's mandatory. And so we've just got a lot that we're trying to do. So I need everybody to really think comprehensively about mandatory recess. Fair enough? Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Good morning, Dr. Beasley.
Good morning.
My question is, how can we have college-ready courses at all the schools, the same course? Because I know it might be a course that is offered at Lovejoy, but it's not offered at Morrow, and my child might want to take that course. So how can we have similar courses at all the high schools?
Now, that's a good question, so I want to make sure that I'm clear. I'll use this as an opportunity to inform. We have core academic courses that are consistent across the high schools. You may see some variation in the AP offerings depending upon student interest, et cetera, but that's an area of opportunity for our district to ensure that we create a desire and a will among our students to take full advantage of AP offerings. Now, relative to career technology, technical education, you may see some variation. Again, that's often driven by student request, student desire. And of course, the staffing capacity, the preparation of the teaching staff to support that. That's work that we've got to continue to do. Now, one thing we know for sure, and I've been working with the career technology in this area, we know that there are certain programs that are at the schools, and that, again, could vary from school to school. But then there are some very expensive programs that we couldn't put in every high school. And so those would be more inclined to be offered centrally. And so we're looking going forward at some possibilities. I know we have open campus that offer some technical courses that kids can go to. Each school has courses. We've got opportunities, post-secondary opportunities with dual arrangement at Atlanta Metro, Clayton State, et cetera. And again, various courses at pathways at the different high schools. But I do think that there's an opportunity for us as a community as we look at our offerings and facilities going forward to create some type of centralized technical center that kids can come to for these programs that require very expensive labs and preparation. And that's just work that we have to do. But I would say that student request often drives the courses that are there. But I also think we have to do, as adults, we've got to do an improved job at informing our students, because sometimes they're requesting courses that the jobs are just not there, or that market is oversaturated. And if they get prepared and get a credential in that area, they may have a credential, but they may have a credential without a job because it's oversaturated. But if you have specific courses that you have in mind, just let us know, and we'll take a look at that.
So in that sense, to piggyback, is there any way that you can go? To piggyback on that, is there any way that you can go and reassess the career path classes that are at those schools?
Yes.
If they're not being effective to our children, let's replace it with something else.
That's correct, and we're in the process of doing that now. As I mentioned earlier, we're doing the aviation at 2 schools. We're doing the film and theater academy at another school. We're doing the firefighter pathway at another's. And what we find is that we have the core, the 17 career clusters, but what we've got to do is make sure people are aware of the innovative courses or opportunities that exist within that cluster. And so the coursework is there. We've just got to create more of those pathways, like we're doing the firefighter pathway at Drew in Mundy's Mill. We're doing aviation at North Clayton and Morrow, et cetera. We've just got to do, and all we're doing is building those pathways within the state's already 17 or 18 designated career clusters. And that helps with the partnerships, because we're getting partners to come to help us to provide resources, expertise, et cetera, that will partner with the teacher and help our kids get experiences not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. But I have a note to go back, and we'll provide updates as to what we're doing relative to career technology as we reassess where we are and where we need to go. And you should know, and you're right, that changes over time because different jobs, you got to prepare our children for different jobs that even may not exist today. But we know that they'll exist by the time they graduate from high school or even college. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My question is in reference to, you mentioned the word tutoring. And
in reference to what?
Tutoring.
Oh, tutoring.
Now, there are some students that may be struggling with a particular course study. Has any thought been given to developing a volunteer tutor pool from, say, students from Clayton State College, and they could receive additional credits for volunteering? And or in our local communities, there are retired teachers who may be available for volunteerism. That way we are satisfying helping the student, we are taking some of the burden off of the teachers, and we're also dealing with the issue of money. So my question is, have we given any thought to developing a volunteer pool for tutoring our kids who may be having problems with their particular course studies?
That's a great question, and I'm pleased to share with you, yes, this summer we developed a job description for retired educators to help us in the areas of special ed, some other leadership support areas for schools, and tutoring is one of those areas. And so we're working on tweaking those job descriptions so we can get them posted, making sure all the various departments have funding sources. Because we have many retired educators who want to come in and provide. They don't want to work full-time because they're retired, but they would love to come in a few hours a day or a week and just help kids and do some one-on-one with kids. So we're working to do that. So you should see a more comprehensive call, if you will, for retired educators to go onto the website and sign up to be tutors. And we know, again, that they've got some rules that they've got to be mindful of relative to their retirement income. But again, most of them, they're not trying to work 40 hours a week. But we have they have a few hours to give us every week, so we're working to do that. Thank you.
Dr. Beasley, she even said volunteer.
Yeah, so I heard that.
You'd be very surprised. I'm currently the new president of the Bethsaida Woods Homeowners Association in Riverdale. We're in District 2, which is the district for Gail Hamburg. And part of, I'm a retired person. I put a newsletter out every month for our constituents. And I've gotten to the point where they look forward to that. And part of that is getting people to volunteer for different positions just in the community. So I was surprised and elated to see the number of people who signed up and was volunteering to distribute the newsletter, to work on the newsletter, to work in the community. So I'm a big fan of volunteering, and being a big fan of it, it can become infectious. If you tell one person, have that person tell one person, and then all of a sudden you've got 5 people volunteering for a really good cause.
I do think it's important to share that whether it's an employee or a volunteer, when you have an adult who may be one-on-one with a student, we do have to make sure we jump over the hurdles of background checks, et cetera. So that's another to-do on my part, because that can be, I think, about $40 or something like that. $45, but we're going to have to figure out how do we get rid of some of these barriers when people want to help out children. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone else? Well, we can just sit here until noon, or we can just say we'll finish up today and we'll see you all at the next opportunity, right? I want to recognize Ms. Sid Cox, who's working with the Council of PTAs. I know we've already met, and so I want you all to expect to hear more things relative to the PTA and opportunities, district-wide opportunities for our parents to get engaged relative to the PTA. So, Ms. Cox, you want to share anything while you're here?
I would like to introduce our new district director that will be coming in August, Ms. Catrice Myers from Morrow High School.
Very good.
Stand, Catrice.
Good job. Well, congratulations. Very good.
And she knows that she can depend upon me to take care of Clayton County. She's got 13 other counties she's responsible for. So I will be giving her information on how we go about and how we do our plan for this year.
Very good, very good. And don't forget about the back to school bash on Saturday, August 5th at, I'll just say Drew High School, because I can't, is at the Southern Crescent Stadium, but we're going to use that whole complex. And we've got so many partners. Are you all partnering with us there? We've got so many partners. Look at me. You partnering there? We've got so many partners that have called and that are signing up. So that's going to be a great day. So everybody pray for sunshine. Sunshine. A little sunshine. Well, we're going to have a great day. We'll have cool water stations out there for so we don't get too thirsty. We'll have some food. We'll have school supply giveaways. It's going to be a great day. And so come on out. We'll have the radio station out there. I want to say V103.
That is correct.
Okay, V103.
Yes, we do.
What you say, prizes?
Door prizes, yeah.
Very good. We'll have, it's going to be a great day. So get the word, spread the word, and let's make sure we come out for our children. We want our children we got to make school a big deal, don't we? It's a big deal.
And we will have the PTAs out there, if they so desire, selling membership cards, so bring your money.
That's right. Very good, very good. All minds clear? Then we're good, everybody. We'll see. I'm sorry, Jada. Can I make one announcement? Yes, please.
And thank you so much for being here today. And if we have not received an email contact for you, please see myself, Jada Dawkins, Chief of Communications after the meeting so we can make sure that you stay connected, and you should have cards today. I think we have 3 sets of documents that we passed out to you. One, a welcome back card from our Superintendent of Schools, welcoming everyone and our stakeholders for our new school year. You should have a Stay Connected card from the Communications Department, just many platforms as to the vehicles that you can use to stay connected to the department and the school district, in addition to information about our mobile app. So we want you to utilize these tools, because we're going to do even a greater job in keeping you informed about the things that's happening in the school district and information that's pertinent from the superintendent. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We appreciate you all for being here today. Have a good week.